Hey guys, Captain Henson here. So in today's video, I'll be talking about the Godzilla vs. Kong prequel comics, Kingdom Kong and Godzilla Dominion. So, to start off, these were unfortunately released after the movie. So, we didn't have the chance to know the context going into the movie, which did suck. I do feel like I would have gotten more out of Godzilla vs. Kong if I had read these, but I'll go into my thoughts on the movie when I talk about the film and novelization. So, Kingdom Kong. It acts as not it so Kingdom Kong takes place soon after the events of King of the Monsters. And we see Monarch is trying to dig into the hollow, or find a passageway into the hollow earth. And while that's going on, we follow a group of pilots led by a woman named Audrey, who has PTSD from a Titan attack, which left her squad dead and her lover or girlfriend in a coma. Or at the very least, yeah, it was a coma. So she has to deal with that while being on Skull Island. And we also get the return of Brooks here, which was nice to see. So they try to dig into the hollow earth and unknowingly unleash a Titan Kamazotz, which then decides to challenge Kong as the Alpha Titan of Skull Island. And that goes as well as you can expect. And also, tying into Godzilla vs. Kong, we find out that the reason their Skull Island was consumed by a storm was because the storm left by Ghidorah merged with the storm that surrounds Skull Island, thus causing having horrible ramifications for Skull Island. And at the end, Brooks decides to finally retire from Monarch, feeling that he's too old, and the Kamazotz was released because he wasn't thinking, because he isn't as sharp as he used to be. So he decides to hand the reins of the Skull Island outpost to Dr. Andrews. So the comic in that sense acts as a passing of the torch from the Kong cast of Skull Island to GVK. We don't see Aaron, unfortunately, but oh well. So what did I think of Kingdom Kong overall? I really liked it. Here, just like with the birth of Kong, we get to see more of Skull Island, more creatures. The Kamazotz itself, being this bat-like Titan, was really cool. Had this really neat design. And I do think this did act as really good setup for a GVK. Now, information such as the storm would have been nice to get in the movie itself. But, oh well, on that front. Also, the art is done by Zid, the same guy, or the same artist who did Skull Island, The Birth of Kong. So we do have some nice consistency there. And yeah, not much else to say. Like I said, it's really good. More Skull Island. Get to see more of Kong before GVK. And we also get to see Gia here briefly at the end. And at the end, as the storm, starts to consume the island, we see the iwi. I would assume they're evacuating because we're told that they do plan on relocating the iwi somewhere. But according to the film, the iwi, were wiped out because of the storm. So have to see if the GVK novelization explains that. And then, moving on from there to Godzilla Dominion. Firstly, it's written by Greg Keyes, who also wrote the novelization of King of the Monsters, and who wrote the novelization for Godzilla vs. Kong. So when I found that out, I was definitely excited. More so excited for that. Because as I said in my video on the King of the Monsters novelization, the fact that it connected, or the fact that it put in the effort to really connect itself, to really establish that the supplemental material of the Monsterverse is important, it just made me love it even more. So knowing that he is also writing, or knowing that he also wrote the GVK novelization, really makes me excited to read that. And in terms of Godzilla Dominion, this very much, like Aftershock, acts as a bridge between King of the Monsters and GVK. We see that after King of the Monsters, Godzilla goes around to the Titans who are still, acting out to put them in their place. Telling Scylla to stop it, helping out Behemoth. And we also see him help out Kraken. I'm spacing on its Titan name. But, yeah, so we see that, Godzilla is acting as I guess you would just call it a king amongst the Titans. Which is good. And also, unlike Kingdom Kong, Godzilla Dominion is entirely focused on Godzilla. There's very little in terms of human dialogue. Most of the dialogue is Godzilla's inner monologue. And he references back to Mothra, which is really nice, Ghidorah. And this is something I wish was said in the movie. It's not an important detail, but it's good to know that after Godzilla's lair was destroyed back in King of the Monsters, he went searching for a new one. And sure enough, he finds it. It's somewhere in the Pacific, though I don't remember where. Either way, he goes there, he fights a Titan, claims it as his lair, sees a Kong skull and a cave painting of a Godzilla fighting a Kong. Maybe it was just a Kong. Either way, it ends with Godzilla, calling out to all the Titans to, rest. So, and it also does what I really wanted the film to make more clear, because the film at the start says that all the Titans are defeated. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean that they were killed. Defeated doesn't mean killed. But I wish they differentiated between the Titans that were killed and the ones that were just, quote unquote, defeated. Ghidorah, Mothra, all the Mutos, except the Queen, were killed. So I wish instead of saying defeated, the ones that were killed were labeled as exterminated. But either way, it is good to have confirmation that the other Titans aren't dead. And because we get to see more into God, because it's Godzilla's inner monologue throughout the entire comic, he does go into some detail about the past. It's general statements, but we do get a feeling of... We do get the feeling that there's some interesting stuff to be told there. If we can get a MonsterVerse movie set in the past, I think that would be really cool. Like a movie without any dialogue, no spoken word, and it's just us seeing these monsters interact. We can get a story without any dialogue. That would be really cool. But anyways. And also, the art was done by Drew Edward Johnson and Alan Passalacqua, who also did the art for Godzilla Aftershock. So, we're getting some nice cohesion when it comes to supplemental material. Or like, hell, Max Borenstein had either co-wrote or co-developed the screenplay/story, or screenplay or story of every MonsterVerse film so far. So, again, the MonsterVerse has a sense of cohesion that isn't really present when it comes to other cinematic universes, or being able to use its supplemental material as well as it does here. It's still small. Really small, especially compared to something like, Star Wars, EU or canon. But yeah, and like I said, because the novelization was written by Greg Keyes, I'm really excited. I mean, and because it really does feel like Legendary is putting in the effort for this to not only be a good cinematic universe, but a good multimedia franchise, as in the stuff other than the movies matter. The MonsterVerse, in my opinion, is the best cinematic universe we have. So, anyways, tangent aside, Godzilla Dominion, really good. I think if I had to choose between which one I liked better, it's hard to say. I would say just because Dominion we get Godzilla's inner monologue in Dominion, I'd probably like that a bit more. But still. Overall, these are good. These act as good bridges between King of the Monsters and GVK. So overall, if you're a fan of the MonsterVerse, a fan of the MonsterVerse comics, what they've been doing so far in terms of continuity, I would definitely pick these up. Because, like I said, they've proven that the comics matter. So, if you like the Monsterverse, not only do you get more content, but you get content that actually matters. And of course, I would pick up both naturally because, hey, it's me. And also, these comics give you some needed, I would call it needed context for GVK. Like, why is there a storm? Why is there suddenly a storm that consumed Skull Island? What happened to the Titans after all the newspaper articles we saw during the end credits of King of the Monsters? Where did Godzilla go after his home was destroyed? Not stuff needed in order to understand the main plot, but I do think they are details that I think we should have gotten in the movie. Because from the looks of it, and this will be confirmed when I read the novelization, whether or not... Well, we know Adam Wingard whittled the movie down to the bare essentials. And I know the novelization will connect to the comics. Again, given what Greg Keyes did with the King of the Monsters novelization. But we'll see if it's like a completely different experience than the movie. Anyways, story for when I get to those. So what did you think of Godzilla Dominion and Kingdom Kong? Do you think they were necessary stories in order to better understand the film? You loving what Legendary has been doing with, the Monsterverse so far in terms of the comics division? Let me know in the comments section below. Until next time, this is Captain Henson, signing off.